folks, I'm ADRIANA HALLOW. I'm a tattoo artist. I specialize in color realism. I decided to make this video in response to a recent post by an account on Instagram at @FindYourSmile, who attempts to explain how melanin sits like on top of the tattoo ink. And they also are trying to basically explain why a lot of tattoo artists don't tattoo darker skin tones. The original account has since been deactivated or deleted, and a lot of these Instagram posts either are disabling their comments, deleting comments, or even blocking people who have been reacting to this video. Many tattoo artists refuse to tattoo darker skin tones because they think that their style won't translate as well, or because they cannot achieve full range of tonal value. If you don't know what tonal value is, it's basically how light or dark a color is perceived. Tattoos, even on the lightest of skin tones, already have a limited range of value. Skin is never going to be pure white, and black ink is never going to be pitch black. So why are we pretending like tattooing darker complexions is any different? I think the real reason is most artists just lack the knowledge or the skill to be able to adjust their designs to fit darker complexions, or maybe they're just lazy, I don't know. I debated quite a bit whether to make this video or not, but at the end I decided that this will probably help a lot of people give better tattoos, and it'll help a lot of clients make informed decisions when choosing an artist, when choosing a style, and when choosing colors that will go into their designs. Stay tuned to the end of this video to find out what colors I think work best on pretty much every skin tone. What I'm about to mention is based on my personal experience over the past 4 or 5 years that I've been tattooing professionally. You have to keep in mind that every person is different, every tattoo is different, every skin is different. So this may not work for every single circumstance. Okay, let's jump right into the video. So the first thing we need to talk about is size. You want to go as big as possible because the more open skin you have, the more contrast you're going to be able to achieve, and the more detail you're going to be able to incorporate into your piece. To adjust your designs to work on darker skin tones, you want to push your contrast to the limit. This means you want to lay your lightest lights next to your darkest darks. A great trick to determine if your design has enough contrast is to take a picture of your design and then edit it, lower the exposure, and then see if everything is still legible. If not, then you need to adjust the contrast in certain areas. So the way that I like to go about applying this onto skin is by laying in all my lines and then using all of my solid black to create and define all of the main shapes. And then I'll use my midtones to create all of those details, leaving as much open skin as possible, and that will be kind of like your lightest tones. I find that by adding a little bit of background, you can trick the eye into thinking that the open skin is actually lighter than it is, because your eye will compare it to the surrounding area, which will be darker. Just as a side note, I also avoid using white as much as possible, and I'll explain a little bit more about that at the end of the video. So the next thing we need to talk about is placement, as this has to do with the amount of pigmentation on the skin. Some areas on the body are naturally lighter than others because they see less sun exposure, like your forearm, like the inside of your arm. So if your client is looking for a more detailed piece, or for a color piece, and they have a little bit of a medium or darker complexion, you might want to suggest placing the tattoo on these areas because you'll be able to achieve a bigger range of value. People of color have often been told that they shouldn't get colored tattoos, or that they can't get colored tattoos, and I honestly couldn't disagree more. Most darker skin tones have a yellow or a red undertone to them, so the colors that are going to complement them the best are the colors that have the same undertone already. You want to avoid using most colors with a cool undertone. The skin and the melanin on the skin acts as like a tint to any pigment that's underneath, and if you know anything about color theory, you know that mixing things from opposite ends of the color wheel ends up just looking like a grayish, brownish mess. Main thing to keep in mind when choosing your color palette when tattooing someone with a darker skin tone is to choose colors that already have a warm undertone. So these are the colors that I have had great success with. You'll notice that all of them are gonna be closer to yellow or red in the color wheel. So first off is Lime Green by Eternal. So next we have Turquoise by Eternal. Turquoise is a great alternative to using blue or like a cool tone blue because this is a little bit closer to green. So it's gonna be like a warmer shade of blue. So next up we have Red Violet. So Red Violet is actually a great option to use instead of purple. Like I'll put it side by side with the light purple that I have. Light purple is a cooler shade of purple, and Red Violet is obviously like closer to like a red. So this actually shows up better on darker skin tones. So next up we have Lipstick Red. Pretty much any shade of red will look good on darker skin tones. This is just like the one that I have. So next up we have one of my favorite shades, which is Hot Pink. Hot Pink shows up on every single skin tone. It is hella vibrant. It's one of my favorite shades to use on darker skin tones. Next up we have Magenta. Magenta is one of my go-tos. You can see like this 4-ounce bottle is pretty much gone. It shows up great on pretty much every skin tone. It kind of heals like a little like a dark pinkish red, more like a burgundy. So next up we have Orange. Orange shows up pretty bright on people with more like a medium to dark skin tone. It may not show up very well on the darkest of skin tones because this will be of like a lighter tonal value. Which brings me to my next point. If you want to stick to using colors of the same tonal value or darker than the skin tone that you're tattooing, anything that's going to be lighter is just going to be sitting underneath of the melanin in the skin. It's going to get a bit lost. I suggest avoiding any tattooing that has a lot of white pigment in it, and instead just using, you know, pure concentrates and just tapping them with water to create those kind of like lighter shades and just using them as a wash instead. So here I have an example of a color that is a concentrate like magenta, and then light magenta that has a lot of white pigment in it to make it look lighter. So the other thing that affects color tattoos is hyperpigmentation. This is when patches of skin appear darker than the skin around them, most likely caused by some sort of trauma to the skin, for example, tattooing. This condition can affect anybody. I suffer from it. I have some color tattoos that just kind of have like a layer of brown skin on top of, you know, some areas of the tattoo. Usually it'll be on tattoo inks that have more white pigment in them. It does go away on its own. It may take up to 2 years for it to go away completely. So this is something that artists need to be talking about with clients and letting them know what to expect during the healing process. And last but not least is how to photograph tattoos on darker skin tone. Every tattoo artist knows the struggle of not being able to take a photo of a tattoo that you're super proud of because the lighting conditions aren't ideal, because your iPhone camera is not cooperating. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to kind of go around that. I recommend using warm lighting when photographing darker skin tones. I got this amazing light from Vit Pro. It's the LED 330X, which has adjustable brightness and adjustable temperature, like the temperature of the light. I additionally also added a sheet of filter so that this light will be polarized. I'll use it in combination with a CPL lens that you just clip onto your iPhone, and I use that in combination. You just turn the wheel on your lens, you just block off all of the glare, and then your camera actually perceives what is in front of it instead of trying to adjust for all of these, you know, light conditions. So there you have it, all of my tips and tricks for tattoos on darker skin tones. Like this video if you'd like to see more content like this. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Follow me and subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time.